Hey there, I hope you're doing well today. I am actually just going to do a very slowed down version of me putting on makeup. I'm going to be using two brushes. I'm going to use the Smudge brush and I'm going to blend with the Buff brush just so you can see step by step how to apply this amazing cream makeup. Hopefully you've already have your palette put together. You can put your palette together in any way you wish. I am going to first use the Smudge brush to put the contour on, then the brightening highlight, then the main. But once you kind of learn placement, there is no right or wrong way of doing this. Just as long as you blend light to dark, you're going to be good to go. So I'm going to use the more dense end of this brush. I am going to scrape in to my contour. Just note the contour color is going to be the most dense cream of all, so you kind of have to rub it and kind of warm it up. So you'll notice that I just put a rainbow shape across my forehead. Contour is used to minimize, to sculpt, to define and give depth. So if you have a large forehead, you might want to make the line a little wider. If you have a more normal to smaller forehead, you can either do the line like I've done, or you can skip it altogether. You could stop kind of here at your temples. Really, practice makes perfect, and honestly, you just have to do trial and error. So I'm now going to use that same end. I'm going to tap back into it and I'm going to find my jawline. So gone are the days where we do the fish face and we kind of suck our face in, because all we're doing here is dragging it down. So the jawline is like up here, and I know as women age, I know for me personally, I want to have that more lifted, sculpted, younger look. So I am going to do everything that you're going to see me do is going to be to lift and to like snatch back. I want to kind of take back the hands of Father Time with my makeup. So I am not going to be putting my contour down here below. I'm going to be finding my jawline. And a good rule of thumb is to find the edge, get the top of your ear, and then work back and down. And I honestly don't like to move it past the end of my eyebrow tail. So, you know, again, personal choice, no right or wrong way. You do you, but you can already see I'm gonna have a lifted look here. And if I did it down here, I'm dragging my face down. So I am just going to now do the same on this side. And once you kind of get the hang of this, you don't have to, you know, do all that, do this. Practice, again, practice makes perfect. You just have to learn the placement and find what works best for you. And I will say this, there are sometimes still that I get this crooked and I'll look a little lopsided, but it's cream, so you can always buff it off, buff it out. You can always add more, so just do not panic, it's fixable. All right, so now I'm going to take what's left over of the cheek and I'm going to apply this underneath my bottom lip. This is going to kind of create that pouty lip. This kind of gives a different definition, a shadowing underneath the bottom lip. I'm going to take a little bit more and I am going to define underneath my jawline. Again, we are getting older, so we do not want to put the dark shade above the jawline, truly on the bone. You want it on the bone or below. And I even will do this and like, I mean, like, how gross is that? Because ultimately, and you'll see, ultimately, I want all those lines to be gone, where I can have the different depth on my chin. Now, the nose is the last place. This is still kind of like an Achilles heel for me. The nose has always been a problem area, but it is what it is. Practice makes perfect. So I am just going to take, and I'm going to go down my nose. Like, I'll already get out of line. You can already see I'm out of line. And I'll just be honest, there's a lot of times that I have to go back and like redo the nose at the end. And here is Matey Kate. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my brush over and I'm now going to use the clean end, and it's a little bit longer, and I'm going to tap into my brightening highlight. So you'll be able to tell a visible difference and notice it on your fingers if you were to apply with your finger, the difference in the way this cream felt versus the contour. But you want to put your brightening highlight down the center of your face. you're going to want to draw attention to your eyes and smile. This is just to highlight and define some of our very best features that the good Lord gave us, and that's our eyes and our smile. So we want to put the least amount of product on as possible. So you'll just notice I've done it down the center of my face, Cupid's bow, and my chin, the inner and outer corners of my eye. And I also, just for good measure, I kind of apply a couple of swipes as like a start of an eyeshadow base to my eyes. Ladies, if you're not putting either eyeshadow primer or a concealer over your eyes, you're giving away your age, because right here, little ladies, is the first place that we start to show our age. So if you have all your full of your face on, but your eyes have nothing, your eyes are gonna tell on you. All right, I'm gonna use that same end, same brush, and I'm now gonna dip into my main highlight. So again, I'm just going to do some like lines. This is where you can do the dot method, whichever you prefer. I just prefer the lines. It's a quicker process for me. I am putting the lines everywhere where I do not have contour and or brightening highlight. Again, it is the less is more mentality, and you can always go back and add more product if needed. I just kind of like to start out with a lighter hand because this cream is so dense, it's so pigmented, it really goes a long way. So I've got the first 3 products on my face. I've got contour, brightening highlight, and my main shade. So at this point, I personally put this brush down. I'm going to grab my buff brush, and I now will start the blending process. We are now going to start blending. I am going to use fatter end of the buff brush, and this brush is going to kind of give a more full coverage look. The denser the bristles, the more coverage you have. I am just really going to be pressing and stippling this makeup onto my skin, because ladies, if you have done this method with the lines and or the dots, you basically have the makeup in areas that you want. You are now just pressing the cream into your skin and moving it around to cover the areas that you need. So I told you earlier, you could literally do this in any way of application that you want. The biggest thing is just blending from lightest to darkest. You just don't want to blend that contour in different directions, because all we're doing there is making ourselves muddy, and then we're dragging or creating dimension and depth in the wrong places. So that is the only reason why we go lightest to darkest. All right, so I basically have got first layer, first round of blend of the highlight, the 2 highlights. So I'm now going to move on to the contour. So I typically start at the top of my forehead and just work my way down. So I will do some larger swipes across my forehead and stipple, bounce. It's going to be up to you, and it's a personal preference how much you blend off or leave showing that depth and dimension. I personally like seeing the contrast, but that is a personal preference. So now with the contour, I'm stippling and I'm flipping and flicking upwards. Okay, same side, same as here. I am stippling and I'm feathering, flipping, flickering, whatever you want to call it, up and back. Because again, I want that more lifted, sculpted, youthful look. Okay, so I'm just going to now kind of smudge in the bottom lip. And this is also a step that you can keep or a step that you can incorporate. It's completely up to you. Sometimes I will keep it, sometimes I will not, just depends on what I'm doing. But for today, I'm just going to show you where it would be. And then as far as the chin contour, you will just drag that down. You'll just want to ensure in all those places that I'm trying to create that shadowing effect to create and minimize the look of the double chin that I have. So I want to kind of make it as, see the shadowy look here? That is the whole premise behind contouring the jawline. All right, so now we're gonna go to the nose. I'm gonna tap down the center. Even though that's the lighter shade, I'm gonna tap, and then I'm just gonna tap the sides. And again, this is one area that I still 2 years later have to practice a good bit on the nose. So depending on the look that I'm going for, I may even go back again with my fingers and do like the little trick down. But for today's purposes, we're gonna call that one and done. All right, so that has got highlight and contour with blending with buff brush and application with the smudge brush. So let's now tackle bronzer and lip and cheek.